Bonjour. This morning when we offered our tobacco to come out, to be out here, it was sort of the first part of making our way into creation, into the lodge that belongs to all of these relatives of ours that surround us every day, that come up every spring with their arms wide open saying, I have medicine if you want. You can have the medicine if you ask in a good way. They come up with their flowers, their leaves, their branches, and they offer it. They're the most kind, giving beings in creation, much more than we are. We tend to take and take without asking, without thinking of others, and I mean others as in our other relatives. And so we offered at Sama to ask permission to be out here, to ask if they would share their good medicine with us, which isn't just the medicine they have, but the knowledge. And they will speak to you. They will speak to us. And they speak to us in their own language, which sometimes is a visual one. We call it the doctrine of signatures, where the plant will show us what it's good for. For instance, if we come across the mullein today, although the mullein its cycle is completing, but if you look at the leaves, and the mullein has got that furry leaves, and it grows quite tall, looks like a cornstalk, and it has the seeds that go up in the center, and it has these little yellow flowers that grow off the seeds, and they have big leaves that grow off of the stalk. And if you flip those leaves over, they look like a lung. They look like the way your lung looks with all the veins and everything that is on your lung. So when you look at it, it looks like a lung. So the plant is telling you it's good for your lungs. The medicine, some of the medicine in it is also good for your lungs. And plants, just like us, have many gifts, but they will show you some of them. And one of the things I learned about the plants and animals too is that it's not just about going out and cutting down the plants and taking them. It's about developing a relationship with the plant beings, our relatives. It's about getting to know them. And you might think that's kind of a strange thing to say, but that is basically what you're doing. They are like we are. They like to hang out in particular places. They like to hang out with other particular plants. They come up certain times and go and then rest other times. They have personalities. Some are quite aggressive, some are softer and gentler. Some like to grow and be in a patch. Others like to be by themselves. So they're very much like we are. They move. I watched a plant patch of my sweetgrass on my driveway move up the driveway. In about 2 or 3 years, I watched it move up the driveway. So they move, they eat, they sleep, they drink, they hang out with other plants. They have other plants that are their balance. So it's about getting to know them that way, getting to know these different characteristics and personality traits and habits that they have. And as you get to know them that way, they'll show themselves to you. They'll begin to reveal things to you. A lot of times it's their gifts that they have. So I'm going to share the little bit that I know, the little bit that I've come to understand. And I say a little bit because when I look around and I see the enormity of creation, the amount of plants, the amount of elements, it's endless. So there's a teaching of humility that I was taught early on by some of my teachers, that the more you know, the more you don't know. And that's the realization that you come to. Because the more you learn, the more you realize there's so much more to learn. And so that that is an important lesson to learn, that there are no experts in Anishinaabe culture and tradition, that we're all learners, we're all teachers, but we don't know it all. And life is about learning as much as we can on our journey. And so the plants are they're here as helpers. They're not our servants, but they will help us in times that we need them. And they come up, as I said, every spring, and they will offer themselves. And it's said that the plants will gather with their medicine in our communities when our communities need them. Even if our communities don't know they need them, the plants gather. And you might notice one year there's a lot of gravel root, or jopai it's called, growing near your community. And that has a lot of iron in it. That's one of the gifts it has. Well, it's telling the community that there is an issue of low iron that they are here to help with. But most times we don't see them. Most times we don't realize that they're speaking to us, that they're offering themselves to us. There was a time when our people knew right away. They could see that. They could hear it. They could understand. But we've drifted away from that. And so I'm just beginning to learn how to do that again. And so I think it's important to know that kind of perspective when you're beginning to learn and walking with these beings. To open your mind to that and not think of them as objects or things that you simply run your lawnmower over. They are beings. They have a purpose. They have a journey. They have many gifts. One of the things I noticed when I was first learning about the medicines is early on, when I didn't know a lot, I would travel down a road and all I would see is a blur as I looked out along the side of the road, a blur of green or greenish brown. Didn't really know what I was looking for, but I was looking for medicines. And as I learned about each medicine, I began to learn about different medicines. It was like, and I've used this analogy before, traveling or going in a parade where you're on a float and you're looking at this crowd of faces and you don't know anybody. But every now and then you recognize a face, you know, and so that's how it began for me. As I began to learn about medicines, I would see, oh, there's some red willow. Oh, there's a patch of sweetgrass. You know, the rest of it'd still be a blur of greenish brown. But every little bit, I would learn more. Yeah, that's a nice visit.
That's twice he landed on me.
Yeah, the dragonfly brings the gift of transition, of transformation. It is. Yeah, it is. It teaches us about that transformation that we all make. The dragonfly comes from an egg to the water, comes out of the water and into the sky. So our plant beings are here. Medicine is everywhere. Every plant is a medicine. I don't care what it is. You might call them weeds, but there's no such thing in my vocabulary as weeds. All plants have a medicine. Poison ivy has a purpose and is a medicine. The same as plantain, dandelions, they all have medicine. And when you look around, you'll see a lot of the plants growing around that are that medicine. You look at the birch tree here. This birch tree is a very unique being. And what's the feature on this plant that you notice right away, the characteristic that stands out the most? Anyone? The bark. And if you look at the bark, it's its skin. So what is it telling you? It's telling you it's good for your skin. So if you take that bark and you get the essential oil out of the bark, the birch tree oil is one of the best oils you can use for your skin. So the birch tree is telling us that. On the birch tree, you'll notice the lines here. These are fine lines, small. This is a female. The larger birch trees with the big thick lines on them, they're the male. So there's ways you can begin to see them, to understand who they are. The birch tree also gives sap. Some will boil that sap into a syrup, birch syrup. It takes a lot longer than maple sap boiling down. I myself, I'm not that crazy about it. It has kind of a bitter sweet taste to it, but some people like that. For me, I don't. But it gives its sugar the same way the maple tree does. There's another medicine that grows on the birch tree, and it's over here. I'll get you guys to turn around. There's actually two. There's one up there. You see that those half moon? Those are called the little people food. It's a fungus, and one of the medicines, or one of the ways you can use that medicine, is for headaches. If you break a piece off, or one of those, and you dry it, then you break it up, and then you burn it, and then you breathe in the smoke from the burning fungus. If you have a headache, it'll help get rid of that headache. There's another fungus that grows on the birch right here. Anyone know what that is? It's there's a Russian word that describes it. It's called chaga, but we call it shkitogan or pisagan. Shkitogan, if it's used as a medicine, if it's boiled for its antioxidants that it has, it's one of the world's highest superfood. This pisagan, shkitogan, because it's used for things like cancer. When you have cancer, it helps remove the cancer from your body. It's a community fungus. It's very small right now, but if you look inside, it's getting to be a golden orange in the center. It's just starting a little bit. That's the same medicine that I use to light my pipe. That golden, that little chunks of golden fungus that I have is for fire. The center of it is for fire. The outside, the black, that's the strong medicine part for antioxidants. That's the stuff that's used to bring balance back to cancer, to overtake cancer. So this is the best medicine for that particular use. It's a community fungus because they say that if there's one that you find on a tree, then usually there's probably more growing close by. And someone had picked one off here, but they dug it out. Whoever picked it off here, they dug it out and they killed it. And you're not supposed to dig them out, because you'll take out the root of the fungus and it'll die. So you just break it off and you leave some of it inside the tree. It doesn't hurt the tree, it actually protects the tree. Protects it from getting disease. But it's like those fish you see that travel with the sharks underneath. They're stuck to the shark. They don't hurt the shark. In fact, they help the shark. And the same with this fungus. It protects it. Whenever there's a wound, it'll find its way onto the wound. It's like a scab that covers up the wound, keeps it from getting infected. But now here, because it's open, it's rotting inside. It's vulnerable to disease, this tree now, because whoever took it off, they took that whole thing right out of there, the chaga. So the birch tree is also in its family. Has another cousin. It's called ironwood, and the chaga only grows on these trees: the birch tree, yellow, silver, white birch, and ironwood. The ironwood, one of the medicines that it's good for is for your arteries, for cleaning out your arteries. You take one, you cut the tree. You have to cut the tree for it. And you know the core of the tree, the dark part in the center of the tree? You cut around that, you cut a block of that out, and then you chop that up into pieces and you boil it. And you drink it. And when you drink it, what it does is it flushes your arteries, any blockages that you may have if you have trouble with clotting and buildup in your arteries. It helps clean that out. It's like liquid plumber for your veins, for your arteries. So this family of trees is, as all the other trees are, have very special gifts. Let's take a walk. Do you know where's the trail? Now these get a lot bigger. These mullein here. These are the ones I was talking to you about. They're furry leaves. These are young ones. The first couple of years they stay low to the ground. They look like roses. And next year after, they'll sprout up. They'll sprout up like these guys, like those ones here. These were called devil's tobacco. That's what the Jesuits called it, because they didn't like that we were smoking this in our poag and using it for ceremonial purposes. So they called it devil's tobacco. It's used in kinnikinnick, so we're going to need a little bit of this. For some of you, we don't want to pick the whole plant, but if you can snip a couple of these off when you see them, here too, take a few leaves, and then we'll bring that to add to our mix of kinnikinnick. Mullein is good for asthma. This is because, again, for your lungs. My daughter, my oldest daughter, she had a puffer, and she forgot her puffer one summer. We were out at a camp. And she started to go through she started to get an asthma attack, and so my sister-in-law and myself went out. We found some mullein, and we boiled it. You can drink it as a tea, or you can inhale it. And so what we did is we covered her. We boiled it put it in a pan, and then covered her head with a cloth towel, and then she breathed in the steam coming off of the mullein, and you could smell the mullein, and she was breathing that all in, and it cleared up her lungs, so she was okay till she got home later and was able to get her puffer. But yeah, this is a beautiful plant, the mullein. Grab that one too. So we'll take a little bit of that for our mix. This is the plantain, this one here. It looks like a little spinach. It's been called the Indian Band-Aid because it's a coagulant. It clots. So if you have issues with your blood clotting, then this is a plant you don't want to be eating or taking. But as a plant that will help if you have a cut, it's an excellent one, and that's the one you add with the dandelion to clot it and then to disinfect it. So, and then this is another edible. You can put this in your salads too as well. So we have lots of salad here. You can come back later and pick a salad if you like. Actually, there's dogs around here. I don't know if that's a good idea, but now that they've been eating all that sheep sorrel. Yeah. There's all kinds of neat things these plants do. And you'll find you go from community to community, and you'll know one plant how to use it. You go to another community and they use it for something totally different, or in addition to something else. It's like people. We all have different gifts. We don't just have one. You know, there's different things that we can do. And so there's so much to learn about even just one plant, let alone you look around and there's so much. Yet our people knew so much about everything collectively. We were a collective knowledge base. No one person knew all of it, but we all knew a little bit. And so we were able to gather our knowledge together in order to find those gifts that were out there. We would ask each other things they learned from their grandparents or things that they knew, and we would share that as a collective. So this is that, a really good little, this isn't actually an invasive too. This one, I don't know. I don't want to bite this one. This one's kind of. When you pick a medicine, this one it wouldn't be a good one to pick because it has some discolor, and if there's holes in it and stuff like that, it wouldn't be one you wanna pick unless that's all there is. But you try to find the flawless leaves when you're picking medicine. Oops. So here and here. Those are two you would use together. No, not those.
She's ready.
Is this the plantain leaf? I know it's a holy one, but...
Yeah, that looks like it. Yeah, that's plantain.
So is it different than the plantains you can buy in stores?
It's the same one. It might be genetically changed a little bit if it's been grown in a farm, but it's the same plant.
Same concept.
Same concept. And each plant has family. You know, it has a cousin that looks similar. It's a little different. Yeah. Like even sage. Sage here is different from the buffalo sage that's in Manitoba. You look at the two of them together and you'll see they're different. Although there's similarities, they're related, definitely. They're from the same strain, but because they're in a different place, they change. They don't quite look the same. They adjust to their environment. Plants do.
And does each plant have a twin that's a poison?
Yeah, well, not a twin that's a poison, but a twin that's a balance.
Okay.
For instance, poison ivy, its twin or its balance is the jewelweed. And I don't know if you know what the jewelweed is, but the jewelweed is, it likes to grow in a marshy area, like usually ditches, and it has this little yellow or blaze orange bellflower that grows on it. And the plant itself is almost translucent. You can almost see right through the stem. And it has these knuckles on it. It's straight, and then it'll have a knuckle, and then knuckle. And inside of it is its sap. And if you get if you've touched poison ivy, and you've gotten that oil, and that's what causes the irritation, is the oil from the poison ivy. And the reason why it spreads is because you're scratching where it is here, then you might touch yourself here, and then the oil goes here, then you're itchy here, then you're touching here, and then, so it spreads all over till the oil dissipates. But by that time, it's kind of all in different spots. But what the jewelweed does, you get the jewelweed, you take the stem, you break it into your hands, and as you crush it, especially on the knuckles, that's where most of the sap is, it's quite wet. And you take that wetness and you put it on those areas that you've been exposed to the poison ivy. And what it does is it neutralizes the oil. It dries it. It keeps it from spreading, and it neutralizes it. So then your body is able to fight that rash that has been caused by the poison ivy. It's also good for swimmer's itch, the jewelweed. It's really good for any kind of skin irritation. But it's specifically is a sister plant or a balance to the poison ivy. And usually wherever you find poison ivy, there's jewelweed that's going to be nearby somewhere. They're at a distance to each other, but they're always around each other. Now where's this trail? We're lost already. Anyway, that pain or whatever might be inside. Inflamed in your joints and whatnot if you have like arthritis. I just want to see if there's any gum here. Yeah, there's some gum right here. Chunks of it right here. Let me get some of the, can you hold that for me? Both of those? So this, you can use this too, this kind of gum, whether it's the balsam or the spruce. You can you can boil water and put that in and melt it. And you mix that in the water as it's melting. You take out the chunks, but the gum dissolves in the water, in the hot water, and you drink it if you have like a cough or a cold. And it really works well for soothing your throat, especially the balsam, because the balsam, those little blisters, it's a really clear gum. This one's, it's got a lot of chunks and things on it. So you have to kind of sift that out. But the balsam, if you puncture those little blisters and squeeze them like you would a pimple, you'll get a clear glue or clear gum out of it that you can. It takes a while to kind of get a lot of it, but it's a really good gum, and it's used also for starting fire. The blisters, they'll cut the whole blister off and dry it, and then they'll use when I was using my striker, flint and striker, you could strike that and it'll catch fire because it has a certain kind of flammableness to it, the balsam. So this is a really good puller.
Sorry, that was a spruce that you were...
Yeah. Oh, look at this. Okay, we have lots of medicine right here. What we have here is, it's called sheep sorrel or sour grass. When we were kids, we used to eat this all the time. It has a salty, it has a salty kind of sour taste. Where kids, we used to grab handfuls. It's
The original Sour Patch Kids.
Yeah. It's a leaf that has these little two nibs. This is one of the best cancer medicines. If you've ever heard of, what's that cancer medicine? You can buy it in the stores. Yeah, it's a mix. Anyone know there's a cancer medicine you can buy in the health food stores? Oh, it'll come to me in a little bit. Anyway, this is the main ingredient for that mix. Is sheep sorrel or sour grass. And you can use it in salads too, and soups. And it helps add flavor. Yes, it's got that sour taste to it. This is a really good medicine. The other one that we have here, another one we have here. Make sure it has the little the little things on it. This is another one. This is of course it's a dandelion leaves. Again, another edible. You can make a salad out of a lot of this, along with the. I don't know if we have any plantain here. There's plantain everywhere. Not sure if we have plantain. That's the sour grass. But this is an antibiotic. So if you get a cut, there is a plantain, which is a coagulant. It stops the bleeding, and this one will keep it from getting infected. So you just have your cut there. You can wrap your cut with those two, and it'll help the healing, and it'll help keep it from getting infected. The other one we have here. Anyone recognize this one?
No.
Yarrow. It's small right now. It's finished actually. These are young ones. These next year will grow up, and they'll have the flat white flower to them. And these are good for high blood pressure and lowering your sugar level, among other things. But those are some of the main ones.
Do you eat them?
Well, you make tea with them. You make tea with these. And it has a long stalk, white flower. It comes up about the same time as you see that Queen Anne's lace, just before. And you see them along the roads all over the place. They grow about this high, and they have a flat white. The Queen Anne's lace has really round. The yarrow is kind of wanky. It's not all perfectly round, but it's about the same size and about the same time.
And it's the
What else we got here? Oh, the dandelion, also the root.
Logan.
The root is also a cancer medicine of the dandelion. You know, we treat the dandelion with a lot of disrespect. And the dandelion is such an important plant. It actually is one of the few plants that cycles more than once. It cycles twice, sometimes 3 times in a year, where the flowers will come up and then you see little puffballs. But when it first comes up, the very first time it comes up, that's the most important time, because they're the first food for the bumblebees. If the bumblebees can't get to that flower, that's like their breakfast. If they don't get their breakfast, a lot of them die. So you have people going out and cutting their lawns right away. I always encourage them, let it go into the puffball before you cut it. Let the flower finish, because then the bees will have their opportunity to get fed for their first time of the year. And then there'll be other flowers that come up afterwards, and it's okay. But the first of the year, oh yeah, bears eat roots, they eat berries. They're one of the few animals that are carnivorous and vegetarian. So let's continue walking. See, these are the blisters on the balsam tree that hold the gum. So there's blisters all over the tree, and there's a. You see the gum coming out of there? It's very clear, and this is the one that's really strong and good for mixing in a hot water for your colds and coughs, is these blisters. And like I said before, you can cut these blisters off and dry them, and you can use it to make fire as well. They'll ignite, because there's a certain level of flammability to it. But you'll see different blisters here. And just how clear that is, how nice and clear that is. And that's a real good medicine, that one there. The balsam. Oh, did I show you the old man's beard? Did I show you the old man's beard? No? Okay, there's some back at, I forgot, there was some back there, but I'm sure we'll see some in here. Where? Oh, here's some. Right here. Right here, this is called old man's beard. It's a, what is it? Not an antibiotic, but antiviral. Antiviral, this. And sometimes you'll see it growing and it actually looks like a beard, a little beard. They usually only grow, you can see some right up there. See them hanging from the tree? They look like a beard. There's one long one there you can see. Hanging right up over there. Right in that tree, right this first tree, that first dead tree right here. Let me go get it.
On a dead tree. I like that sticky thing.
Old man's beard.
Old man's beard.
Right here. See it hanging there? I can't reach it. It looks like a beard hanging from the tree. And there's
Right there.
yeah.
You see that? Yeah. Ever cool?
Yeah, old man's beard. It's I use it for my fire starting, but it's also used in a medicine called Absichkan. It's one of about 16 different medicines. That's one, and that's the antiviral part of the medicine. And I use it for fire starting. And what I like about it is I can find it any time of year. Even in the wintertime, it's still hanging in the tree. So I'm able to gather it up. And then I make a bundle, a little bundle of it. We call it a bird's nest. And then when I light fire, I use that as a part of my fanning. And it ignites in the, with the chaga inside for my fire. So it's nice. You can always find it any time of year.
Is the smoke the antiviral part of it, or?
The medicine inside, part of it is the smoke, but you'll grind it down into a powder when you make Absichkan, and you make it. It's a tea. Okay. Yeah, it's just I'm gonna make the fire here, so I need to get it down there so it doesn't blow out. Ah, bonjour. Bonjour. Hache. Enzo ke dijnikas shage do dem bising don jaba nishnabe endao. I'd like to thank you for coming here today, this morning. It's the last part of our time together, and one of the things that we have talked about in a sort of an indirect way is about fire, and some of the teachings around fire that relates to the other elements of air and water and the land, and fire is a big part of that. And as Indigenous people, fire is the central part of the life that we have and that we nurture, that we acknowledge. We acknowledge that there's fire in the sky when we look at our grandfather, the sun, our grandmother, the moon, the stars. They say are those campfires of our ancestors, and you see them at night burning their fires. There is fires within us, our emotions, the life that allows us to walk on this journey is a fire. All of these things are fires. There's fire in the plants and the animals that give them life. There's fire in the air that gives us life, that fire of life. And so we see fire as a very special energy. And one of the gifts that were given to us is the gift of making fire, of being able to pull that fire out of these stones. This one here is flint. There are a number of other stones that they say the Thunderbirds have placed their fire in these stones. And that story of Nana Bojo traveling to speak to the Thunderbirds who placed that fire in these stones is a teaching that shows us how to access that fire in here. And so I wanted to share that with you, something I learned a few years ago, how to do this. It's been about 5 years ago that I learned how to make fire with the flint and striker. And I just want to share the story of my personal journey to learn how to do this. It began about 10 or 12 years ago when a friend of mine, Ken Tababadan Ba, from Wasauksing, he was Potawatomi, and he could make fire. And I remember watching him do that, and I was envious of him. And I would say to him, oh, someday I would like to learn how to do that. And he would always tell me, just pass me some salmon and I'll show you. And I kind of put it off, a little intimidated by it. And this one Christmas, my wife and Ken got together and they made me this gift, a fire bundle with a striker and a flint and everything I needed to make fire. So I had no excuse. And his instructions was for me to come to see him, and he would show me how to use this kit. And I procrastinated. I took too much time because a couple of years after I received it, Ken got sick and he passed away. And I felt shame in a way. I felt shame about that because I didn't go and see him, and I had opportunity to do that. And my fear is what kept me from doing that. That fear I talked to you about, doing ceremony, about not taking that step. And so I felt bad about it, and I put the fire bundle away for a few more years. And it wasn't until about 5 years ago, I was sitting with a friend of mine, Kelly Senecal, who works at Cambrian College at Wabnode. And he could do that. He could make fire. And I watched him do that. I watched him make fire. And I remembered Ken and what he had given me and what he taught me. And I asked Kelly if he would show me how to do this. And Kelly said the same thing Ken did. You pass me some sama and I'll show you. So I did. I went and got my sama, brought my kit, and I sat with him and he showed me his technique, and I did that, and I remember that very first fire I made was such an amazing feeling to be able to bring that fire from these stones is a pretty cool experience. And when I did that, I was thinking about Ken. And after the first time I was able to do that, I made a promise to Ken that whenever I brought my bundle out, whenever I was going to do a smudge, or I was going to smoke the pwogan that I carry, or I was going to ask to make a sacred fire, that I would only use the flint and striker to do that. And so I made this pact with him, and I was going to try to do that. And so far, for this 4 or 5 years that I've been doing it, I haven't used a match in any of the ceremonies that I do. And I'm trying hard to do that. It's getting easier as you do it. It does get, once you get your technique down, it does get easier. But I've bothered a lot of people because we tend to be impatient. And there's been people who wanted to, while I'm doing the striking, and you don't always get it first time, or even the first couple of times. It takes a while. And they would say, "Oh, you want to use a match? I got a lighter." And I would say, "No, get that away." And it teaches you about perseverance and these things. So that's something that I learned. And so I want to share this with you, and to share how simple it is, yet there is a skill to it. Now, the things that you need, and there's different ways of making fire, but the things that I've learned how to use fire is we use birch bark. And I like to have the thinner birch bark, almost a paper kind of birch bark at the base. And you have the shkitagan. This shkitagan is the fungus that grows on the birch tree, and it's the center of the fungus. It's black, but on the inside it's gold, and it has like a corky lightness to it. And the center is the best one for fire. And this is going to be the coal that carries the fire from the spark. And then, of course, the flint, that stone where the Thunderbirds put that fire in, and the striker. Long ago, they had flint on flint, and then we were introduced to the steel. So we use this to strike. There's different techniques to strike, but this is the one I use. I use my my thumb holding down. You find a nice sharp edge. Usually trying to maybe curve towards upwards, and then you strike it. And there you go. Now that's how it starts. And the wind is nice because a little bit of wind is good at the beginning to get this burning, get this coal going. And the shkitagan, once it lights, it's almost impossible to put it out. That's how well this works. The only way is to dunk it in water, but even when you put it in water, sometimes it stays burning inside. So we place this on the birch bark. We get what's called old man's beard, which is really nice. This will help ignite the fire. And you place that on top. Push it down nice and snug. And you can use different medicine to burn. I like the old man's beard because it hangs in the trees, and so you can get it any time of year. The moss that grows on the ground, when it snows in the winter, it's hard to find unless you know where it is. Same with the grass that you can also use. But the old man's beard, you can find that anywhere. So once you've placed it in your little pan or little metal container or maybe a shell, you just start fanning it. And there are different songs that you can sing in those ceremonies. The Médé have a song that they sing while everyone is watching, and the one who's trying to make fire, and they're hitting their sticks together and they're singing the song until that fire comes. For today we won't get into the song, but if you can send your energy to this fire to help concentrate, to help it burn, that would be helpful. And you can take your time when you're doing this. You don't have to rush it. And you'll see the smoke, you see it now coming out a little bit. And as it begins to get ready for the fire to come out, there'll be more and more smoke. And then you'll see it starting to catch fire on the old man's beard and the birch bark. And sometimes when I'm fanning, I notice that the fire will come up, and then it'll go down. And you have to keep fanning, and then it'll come up, and sometimes the second or third time, then it'll stay. So a little bit of breeze is also good here. Just not too much wind. And patience. You can see the smoke starting to come up a little bit more. And this is medicine, this smoke here too. You can see it increasing. You can see the color changing on the old man's beard, getting ready for the fire to come. See it down? Now it's down again. And there it is. It's up. Aha, miigwech.
Nice.
And you always build your fire. You get it ready to accept that. So you make your little nest of wood and birch bark where you can place that fire that we've been gifted. You place it in there and you begin to feed that fire. And of course, when it's a sacred fire, after you've received that, and well, before and after, you offer your sema, asking for that fire to come, and then thanking it for joining us here today. Miigwech. Now, who amongst you would like to try? Like to try? Okay, come on over here.
Mid-braid. Braid.
Don't be afraid of braid. Yeah, that could be it. Yeah.
Come here. Move this one over here a little bit. That fire to go down a little bit.
Faster.
Here. Excuse me, where's my... Pass me that... Down there? Yeah. I'll get you a nice chunk that's going to work good. There's one. Oh, that should work good. When I do it, oh, there it is. Okay, find a nice edge on there. It's pretty much a good edge all over. And then you're going to hold it down like that with your thumb. Just a little bit away, just a little bit away. And then you're going to strike it that way, just straight down, like that. Eh? Like that. And it'll take a little while. Don't, it's going to be, might take a little while. Might not. Oh, you got some big nails going on there.
Yeah, so I strike it down like that.
Yeah. And you don't have to real fast. Just try to make each strike count. It's got to hit nice and hard. But just skim it. Just skim it. You see a spark yet? It's going. She's got it. Okay. Okay, just hang on to that. Okay, put that inside here. Oh, look at that. Now we'll let it burn a little bit. Now grab a handful of that.
This or?
Oh, nice big handful. And you're going to squeeze that and push that right down on there. More. You need more. Yeah, that's it. Push it right down with your hand. Don't worry, it's not going to burn. Your whole hand. Whole hand like that. Push it right down. Yeah, okay. Okay, now you're just going to start. Now when you fan it, you see this flat part? You want that going on it just above it. You want to get as much wind as you can. And rather than your wrist, make it your arm. And it just doesn't have to be big switch, just little ones. Nice and close. It's coming. That's it. That's it. You got it there now. We're on the edge of our seats here. Feel like I'm at a golf tournament or something, eh? And she's making a putt. This is awesome. Sometimes the arm gets a little tired. It's okay, just slow down a little bit if it's too tired. Just keep that wind going. The smoke is starting to get more. You're almost there. Try a little bit of just the wrist now. A little bit closer. Yeah, like right there. You're coming there. It's coming. That's it. That's it. That's it. You can see it coming. It's coming. It's coming. 2, 3. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. That's it. That's it. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going.
You freaking got it, girl.
Okay. Yeah. Good one.
I'm proud.
That was so cute. Nice job.
Oh, good job. Awesome. Okay. Anyone else? Oh, everybody now. You want to try? Okay.